Yard Dawgs Podcast Studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns. From our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand, Mikey P, and Ian Cold Train Coldiron.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Yes, you are now in the yard, and welcome to the Yard Dawgs Podcast, a show for the fans, by the fans. This is Season 3, Episode 107. I'm your host, Jason Hand. The Yard Dawgs Podcast is brought to you by Network 216. To check out all of our Ohio sports content, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Network 216. Just search for it, Network 216. Joining me tonight, better than ever, Mikey P and Ian Cold Train Coldiron. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Feeling good.
2 wins in a row, baby.
Two wins in a row.
Pretty good. Feeling pretty good. 2-0.
Hey, and as a bonus, we had the hoodie giveaway. We had a winner this week, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was a little jealous when I saw that post. I wanted the hoodie, but I'm happy. I'm happy for the person that won.
Yeah, Moira. She's I think that's an Irish name, but you can find her on Twitter at Moira Irish. I guess it is an Irish name. That's Moira Irish, and she's a Browns fan, and she told me that she's actually going to give that hoodie to her grandson. So maybe a Christmas gift or something like that. But her hoodie's in the mail, boys. She predicted the exact score of the Browns-Texans game, which, I mean, it got to that score in a weird way, right? You had a safety in there. You had some field goals in there. You had no offensive touchdown for the Browns. So good on her for getting that exact score. We had a lot of folks that, their score was pretty close. I know one was 1 point off, but yeah, Moira got the Browns hoodie, so that was sent to her. So congratulations to Moira on Browns Twitter.
Yeah, we
and if not correct, she beat everyone else on this show, right? None of us have ever had a perfect score, correct, or a perfect.
I was
prediction.
Close this week. I had 22 to 14. I was 5 points off.
But
This does not count, right? Mikey P.
That is correct, Jason. As we've been counting, she beat all of us, right? None of us.
All of us.
Okay. There you go.
Including our early entries from who was it? Patrick and MC Lawrence. They had some early entries, and she beat everybody. This was the first time we gave away a Browns hoodie for an exact score prediction. I didn't realize how hard it was to do that, but apparently it is very hard because we've had hundreds of entries in the past weeks of this season, and Moira was the first one to get it exactly right. So good on her. Somebody said that they're going to reach out to her when gambling becomes legal in Ohio, January 1.
They should.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, man.
So speaking of homage, let's do a little housekeeping, boys. The Yard Dawgs Podcast, the Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. If you haven't tried Homage yet, you are missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge sports apparel, not just sports apparel, and they have many. They also have a nice holiday collection that you can, support Homage, support the show. They have hoodies, T-shirts, everything you can think of. MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL. So search for the link on our website. That's network216ohio.com, or you can find the link on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod. Boys, I'm wearing my Myles Garrett shirt tonight. I don't want to say he went off, but he had a good day on Sunday, I think. And the Browns need it, and they're going to need him again for this week, which we'll talk about later in the show. Ian, what you got on, bud?
I got that old school logo, and then remember it has the schedule on the back. I don't know. I can't really see what I'm doing here, but
it's like a concert tour, kind of like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, old school, vintage. Homage. It's Homage's thing. But I remember a gift from my wife. Remember, she gave me like 8 Homage shirts just for the blue, just for being a good husband. And Homage obviously was very happy. It was a win-win for everybody. My wife was happy, I was happy, and Homage was happy. So One of my eight many gifts of Sarah Coldine.
It was the 12 days of homage, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh yeah. I got one for every. I won't ever look like a bum anymore on you. I mean, she said she saw my one shirt that homage gave us, and she's like, "Hey, I got to get you more shirts." I said, "All right, good wife."
All right, Brian is asking you to put on the NFL Jam shirt, Coltrane.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he means NBA Jam because the Cavs and Lakers are on at 7:30.
Yeah, probably. I'm
Maybe.
sure Brian's probably on the way to the game. I'm sure he finally got a ticket.
I don't know if you guys realize this, but Sunday we almost had a scoreagami. Now, what scoreagami is each time there is a unique score that's never happened in the history of the NFL, it gets ranked in the scoreagami. And 27-8 apparently was one of those scoreagami scores. Like it's not ever happened in the history of the NFL. So we were very close until that garbage touchdown to getting a scoreagami. And I think later that day there was a scoreagami score. I think it was I'm trying to remember which game it was, but you almost had two in one day.
So this has to be the final score, right?
Correct. Has to be the final.
Okay. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened in that game, so it wouldn't have shocked me if we had a scoreagami going on. So
no.
We're going to talk about the Browns and Texans, Deshaun Watson's debut in this episode. We're also going to preview Browns versus the Bengals in the Battle of Ohio. Guys, this is going to be a game. I hope so. I'm a little nervous. I don't know about you guys, but we're going to talk about all that. First, we get in some news and notes. I want to congratulate Joel Bitonio for being named the Browns Walter Payton Man of the Year. So I guess all 32 teams have their selection, and then they get put in the pool for the Man of the Year across the whole entire NFL. So congratulations to Joel Bitonio. He's been a great offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns for a number of years now. When was Bitonio drafted? He was here when Joe Thomas. I mean, he was kind of
2015, I believe. 2015, 2014, he was in that draft. I believe he was a second-round pick out of Utah State.
Yeah, and he learned from the great Joe Thomas just, how to be a professional in this league. And you kind of had the sense early on that he was going to be a great offensive lineman. He just had a swag to him. He would get in there and get dirty a little bit on the offensive line, just a gritty player. But just what a professional Joel Bitonio is. So congratulations to him on that. And then you guys heard this, boys. The Browns-Ravens moved to Saturday at 4:30 p.m. at First Energy Stadium. So, guys like you, especially Coltrane, need to know that so you can get to the game the right day.
Yeah, I don't know about you fellas. I'm sure some people are upset about it. I love Saturday games. I've told you guys before, coming from Columbus now to Cleveland, it's a one-day affair. It's a journey. So having that Saturday 4 o'clock to be able to just kind of take, first of all, it's 4 o'clock, so I don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn to get out there. Take my time, get my stuff with my wife ready, leave around, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll be straight and enjoy a nice Saturday game. Even this is where now your night can get crazy. Maybe we go to the casino after. Maybe we hit up Brian Music and see if we can find the nearest party around the Cleveland area. That guy's good for a party in the Cleveland area. I mean, we all know that by now. But no, it's going to be – I'm excited, man. I'm actually very pleased. I knew I think we talked about it on the show last week, guys. When it said TBD, I thought it was kind of going to be a Sunday night, but that was wishful thinking. I mean, there's a lot more cooler matchups, I'm sure, than the Browns. We're Browns fans. But, yes, I love the Saturday games. I'm always off on the weekends for my job, so I will enjoy Saturday. And then after a dub, when we beat the Ravens, whether there's Lamar or not, I will enjoy my Sunday after with my wife. So it'll be a good family weekend.
And for our listeners out there, this is part of a triple header that day, exclusive on NFL Network. So I know a lot of people probably didn't get the NFL Network maybe this year because they didn't have the Thursday night games anymore with Amazon. But make sure you have NFL Network that Saturday because that's going to be the only way you can watch the game. So get it now, so that way that Saturday you're not like, oh my god, I don't have NFL Network, and you're freaking out at the last minute. Like, add that channel tomorrow. Be ready
There you go.
for the 17th.
Mikey's always busting out the facts, man. He's always got those cool facts that everybody wants to know. Yeah, so that game's Saturday. I know for me, I immediately check my kids' sports schedule and make sure I'm okay there. I'm not out of the woods, you know. My daughter has a volleyball tournament that day, so depending on how far they get, I might be.
Are you one of these guys? Are you one of these guys, Jason? You got the iPad with you?
No, but I probably will be Saturday.
Yeah, whatever you got to do, man. You know, hey, it's all. Hey, come on, honey. Go Browns.
Interestingly thing enough, that weekend is the weekend that my wife planned for us to go out of town to Williamsburg. So I'll be out of town, but I will be able to still watch the game. I told her Saturday at 4:30. Need to be able to watch it.
I have full confidence in you, Mikey P. You'll get that done. You'll find you a watering hole somewhere and get that game.
Yeah.
Hey, BFO group. I was out of town last year, and the game wasn't on regular TV, and I was watching it with the BFO group in their Facebook group. So shout out to BFO for letting me watch that Ravens game last year.
Speaking of the BFO, Pete Barker has joined the Yard Dogs podcast. He's in the comments right now. He's asking, can we win out and make the playoffs? We're going to get into that, but what's your early thoughts there, Coltrane?
I mean, full steam ahead. The way the D and special teams is playing, it sounds like this team isn't ready to quit. Like I told you guys before last week, the lineup if we can get past this Bengals game and now Lamar teetering on maybe he's playing, maybe he's not, you got to be honest, guys. It's really paving the way for a nice opportunity to go 6-0 here, guys. I mean, you have to be 6-0. You have to win every game, no doubt about it. But if you can get past these next two, just like I talked about in last week's show, then it gets interesting. But everybody, every coach, every player, everybody has to be on the same page that they were on this past week, where it's what's that word? Complementary football. All three phases of football have to be completed every game, and then yes, the playoffs. Even still, though, it's a little bit shaky because you got to hope that teams lose. But yes, we have a great chance still, week by week, one game at a time. That's my my spiel to them.
I keep looking at that Jets. I keep looking at that Jets spot. You know, they have the third wild card spot, and I don't know. It seems like a team that's fighting for a playoff spot can just slip right in there if the Jets continue to slip up. And who knows? That could happen.
Not to rain on the parade, but if we would have won that Jets game, we'd actually be in the 7th spot right now.
I'll take the Falcons.
Grab your umbrellas.
I'll take that Falcons win too, Mikey. That's the same situation.
And the Chargers. That's the only downfall is there's early games now because you lose out on those tiebreakers. So you don't have the tiebreaker with the Chargers. You don't have the tiebreaker with the Jets. The Dolphins, you don't have the tiebreaker with the Patriots. So it's like you need a lot of stuff to happen.
And that's why it's 5% chance. All the stuff you mentioned.
But if you don't win out, like none of it's going to happen. So you just win out and hopefully some of that happens. And if it doesn't, hey, I'll take it this way. If you won out and you missed the playoffs, but you finished, finish the year winning 7 straight would be amazing.
100%. Yeah, and that's exactly too in that situation why half the fan base was excited for it, or saying being positive, oh, we're good, it's just a couple games, guys. And then the other half of the fan base, mainly me and Mikey, I know me and Mikey agree a lot on the show. We already foresaw those tiebreakers situation. So that's how the Browns fans I am. Like even, those couple of losses that you take that you should have had, you're already thinking ahead like, well, maybe we need that week 14 or 15. I mean, you have to stack as many wins as you can because in the NFL, it's just they're so hard to come by. Like Stefanski even recognizes our own coach. I mean, very hard to come by. So yes, that was definitely a harsh time for Browns. We were kind of fighting with each other on Twitter. I remember because half of us, were like, oh, we're good. Let's, we're cool. Let's be positive. The other half was like, nah, we're done. Now we lose tiebreakers. It's going to take a while. So I don't know. It's just a situation, man, that I don't like being in. I hate this situation, guys. Like, Yes, I agree, Mikey. 6-0, that's all fun and dandy, but at the same time, you got to win your games when you can, because I hate that feeling of like you watch your game and then you're watching it, like a religion. You got two TVs. All right, come on, Chargers. Oh, Raiders won. How did the Raiders win? And that's your life beyond the Browns game. You know what I mean? So that's just this, but this is what we're used to. We live this life every single season, man. So especially when we're close.
Yes,
You find yourself on Sunday afternoon mad at Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, who you care little about, but they couldn't pull it off against the Ravens. And, you're mad at them, but really you're mad at yourself and your football team for not taking care of business and not, controlling your own destiny.
Yeah, I think the Broncos led that game too, but for 58, 59 minutes or something. It was and the Ravens scored with 30 seconds. Son of a bitch.
The Chiefs game too. I was cheering for Kelsey and Mahomes. My wife was like, "Who are you? You're a loser." And I was like, because she knows I hate the Chiefs. I never cheer for them, but I really wanted them to beat the Bengals. And the Bengals, it was such a close game, man. I was so disappointed. Of course, they kick anybody's butt that they need to any given week, but the week we need a little help from them Chiefs, nothing.
Well, I think the Bengals have won three straight against them now. So they seem to have a little bit of their number. So it's weird. This league is weird sometimes because it's prime example of a game last week, like the Dolphins and the 49ers. You see Jimmy G goes out early in the game. You're like, oh, man, Miami's about to rout him. And then at the end, you're like, Brock Purdy is kicking the Dolphins in the teeth. It's like, what the hell? This league is crazy sometimes, man. It's it's fun. That's what makes the NFL so freaking fun, man, though.
I will say this on that point, Mikey. I think that guy is a perfect example of, if you guys have ever noticed in games like that, that when they don't have tape on a quarterback, or they didn't prepare for that certain quarterback, i.e. Huntley with Denver Broncos as well. It's like they come in, Baker Mayfield with the Jets game when he made his debut, it's like they don't know what to do. It's almost like playing street ball now. Now they're lining up on D with the same game plan as some other guy. And that's why I will say this. I don't want to talk too much about him, but Watson will pay dividends for us in these 6 games if he can, get these balls a little bit higher and get these accurate, because let's be real, guys, they got nothing on him. So I hope that advantage of that's the advantage, that they had with Miami. They did it. They don't know what the guy can really do. They don't know, if he does, curl routes better and long balls, deep throw. Short pop pass. Is he QB sneaking? Is he a runner? I mean, all that kind of stuff, man. It's interesting, and it is weird to watch the NFL sometimes, because some guy will come in you never heard of, and they sure play like it. The defense will play like it. So,
yeah, and even the quarterback that came in, is it Purdy? Is that his name?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. He was the last pick of the draft.
From Baylor.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. He didn't have time to be nervous, because you got to think he was on the sideline, and all of a sudden, oh, put the clipboard down, put your helmet on, you're coming in. That's kind of the way that went.
It reminded me of a game involving Miami back in, it was 93, Browns versus Dolphins. Dan Marino goes down with an Achilles injury, and we're up 7-3 or something like that. And you're like, they bring this bum Scott Mitchell in. And Scott Mitchell proceeds to just kick our ass for 4 quarters. And I was like, we get Hall of Famer, Pro Bowl, elite quarterback Dan Marino out of the game, and you got a win wrapped up. And then Scott Mitchell comes out of nowhere and just throwing it all around the yard.
Oh, boy. Well, let's get into the Browns and Texans, guys. We said on this podcast that last week there's no way the Browns were losing this football game, and they didn't. I think what surprised a lot of us is how they actually won it. We all agreed that Deshaun Watson was going to have some rust. He was going to need some time to get into his to the Deshaun Watson that we last saw. But as they said on the television about 300 times, it's been 700 days since Deshaun Watson has thrown a football in a live NFL game, besides the preseason game that he played this year. I think I was surprised that we saw that much rust. I figured that he would be probably overthrowing some balls. Maybe, a receiver would run the right route, but he, a little miscommunication there. But it was a rough day for Deshaun Watson, but I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I was just excited to see him out there because I know that he's going to be the elite quarterback that we traded for, and we saw glimpses of it throughout the game. I thought in the second quarter, going into the half, he did start to look a little more comfortable, and we didn't see so many balls going into the dirt. He was starting to scramble a little bit and move around. You just kind of saw him get into the game. Now he reverted back and got nervous again in the third quarter, and we saw a lot of balls that went low. I'm not a quarterback. I don't know what causes that. Maybe it's footwork. I think the game speed, you can't prepare for that. I don't care, how many good practices you have. We heard from Cleveland media that he had a great week of practice, but you can't practice game speed. And I think that it was fast. They were coming at him. He had to make some quick decisions that he hadn't had to make for 2 years. So for all that said, I think that the Texans were the perfect team for the Cleveland Browns to play in Deshaun Watson's debut. And I say that because this week coming up, we're going to be playing the Bengals, and what scares me, he has a lot to figure out before we kick off against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati this coming Sunday. But overall, I thought it was a good game. The defense stepped up. The special teams were phenomenal. DPJ, we had a lot of great plays. Tony Fields, he just seemed to be at the right place at the right time. Ian Coltrane, you're a defensive guy. This was a kind of a game for you, right? There's a lot of really good action on the defensive side of the football. Tell me your thoughts, man. The offense, that we saw what the offense looked like, but what'd you think about the defense on Sunday?
I thought they played well. I thought Joe Woods actually drew up a good plan. I felt like with Newsome back, that made quite a difference. He was able to run that 3-corner option that he likes to do with Newsome, him, and Newsome, or Emerson, and Ward. Ward played like a stud. He gave us what we expected of him. Miles gave us what we expected of him. You saw Clowney out there making some plays. D-line was moving around a lot. It just seemed like everything was gelling. I think Joe Woods recognizes that his seat is ultra fire. It's like that hot chip, that people do that contest. It's up his butt, and he really needs to focus on every week by week type of thing. But I thought his game plan worked well for us, man. I thought the defense played great, man. We were making plays that you want, and you were getting turnovers that you want in the game to make it exciting as a fan. Let's be realistic, guys. We don't do that enough. We don't do that kind of stuff, and that's the thing too. Like, one of the reasons I want Joe Woods out real quick, that play where Schwartz, where they punched that ball out, we don't do that on this team, dude. Like, that's that kind of stuff. Like, I want to see more of that. Like, let's turn this ball over. You know what I mean? But they played a great game. It was the Houston Texans, though, guys. Let's be realistic. Cooks was out. I'm not one of these fans. Maybe we'll keep Joe Woods, after one game. It was a good defensive battle. And like I said, I applaud them for their efforts. But am I over here saying keep Joe Woods? Heck no.
We're running a string of games where the defense is showing up. Yeah. So that's a positive thing. I'm with you. I'm not saying Joe Woods' job is safe just yet, but we have seen positive. The defense has been moving in a positive direction ever since the Baltimore game. Really, we've had some slip ups. Miami was not good, but this week was. And to your point, we weren't going against the top 5 offense. I think everybody realizes that. Kyle Allen, he's not a top 10 quarterback. They have a good running back. Their receivers are very suspect. But I think that this was a great game for Deshaun Watson to come back to, because you can make mistakes against a Houston Texans and still come out with the victory. And that's what happened. We were in the red zone and Deshaun Watson, throws a pick to his name Petrie, I think it was. He thought he was going to follow Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he stayed back with Cooper and threw a pick, just didn't see him, and that kind of stuff happens. But if you do that against good teams like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Bengals that we're about to play or the Buffalo Bills, you're not going to win those ball games. So we were very fortunate that we were playing the Houston Texans this week.
Absolutely.
Mikey, special teams, they've had their fair share of criticism this year. I think this game in particular, they stepped up. What did you think about Donovan Peoples-Jones, man? I mean, when's the last time we ran a punt back for a touchdown?
It had to be with Josh Cribbs running a punt.
2015. It's
been a while. Peoples-Jones has been close a lot lately to breaking one. Am I ready to say, Prefer has done a great job? I mean, there was still some breakdowns. Like, I'm confused as hell. Why the hell does he have Anthony Schwartz as a gunner? Like, you have a guy who plays wide receiver that's never played any defense in his life, barely has played football, was a track guy that converted to football. He shouldn't be your gunner. We had a special teams breakdown on the kicking game, on a kick return they almost brought back. So I think, special teams played solid, but they were up and down part of the game. So it was nice to see that return, and that return kind of, sparked and ignited thing. Because to be honest, when it was 5-0, like, it was like, man, are we gonna lose this game? Are we gonna somehow lose this game? Like, it was looking pretty bad for a while there, because the offense was struggling to move the ball. There was mistakes. The offensive line for the second straight week kind of struggled with the interior. With Pochets out. But it was nice to see the special teams come up with some big plays, and Bjorquez punted great. Like, he pinned the offense back all day. He did really well with that. York made all of his kicks, no issues there. And DPJ, man, he's been great since he came back as the punt returner. Like, he almost took one back the week before against Tampa, if you recall. I think he had like a 30-yard return on one of his returns, and he just got tripped up. So he's been close for a little while. So awesome to see him. I really liked him coming out of Michigan. When he was a 6th-round pick, I just thought he was, he didn't get to play with elite quarterback play when he was there. So glad to see him kind of taking off in the league. I like DPJ a lot.
Yeah, you just get the feeling that guys like DPJ and Amari Cooper, they're going to profit big time from having a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Now this week, Cooper was targeted 9 times, so he was the leading receiver as far as targets are concerned. Again, a lot of throws were off target in the dirt, down low. DPJ caught all 3 of his targets for 44 yards. Again, we didn't have an offensive touchdown in this ball game, but you just get the feeling that when it does click and they do develop chemistry, that guys like DPJ and Cooper, they're going to be something really special in this league. Especially, if the Browns mess around and get another wide receiver, and I know we have a bunch of young guys and people can step up and they can be the guy, but it's a good foundation, I think, with what we have as Amari Cooper is our 1, and DPJ is becoming a solid 2 for the Cleveland Browns. I want to go back to your point, Mikey P. It was 5-7 at half. It kind of looked like a baseball score. And I think we even said on this podcast last week that if you let a team like the Houston Texans hang around, if you blow them out early, the game's going to be over. But that's not what we did. We let them hang around, and that's the scary thing about letting a bad team hang around. All of a sudden, you're deep in the third quarter, and it's a dogfight. Well, the Texans kind of ended up shooting themselves in the foot. They had multiple turnovers, interceptions. Who was it? Chase Winovich that tipped that ball up, and Tony Fields caught it and ran it in the end zone. Denzel Ward scooped up that fumble from Kyle Allen that was just amazing. I think that was in the second quarter. Yeah, but there's a lot of plays where you're like, wow, this is exciting to see. That's exciting football to me, and confidence is good. If we can carry that momentum and confidence into this week, I think we could see a good football game this Sunday. We need to win this game. But what are your guys' final thoughts on Houston Texans and the Browns game on Sunday?
let me just put a disclaimer out. You guys know I'm a Watson guy by now. I'm a huge Deshaun fan. When you meet him personally, kind of changes your view of the guy, and you like him, and you start fanboying. But I want to put a disclaimer out. I've been reading on Twitter, Facebook, my friends, some people, just random people that I'm reading, Browns fans. After one game, and I'm sure half of these people are Baker bros, it is what it is. There's so much negativity I read, 230 million, one game. Oh, this guy's a bum, garbage emojis. I mean, what are we doing here, guys? Here's my thing. Here's my spiel on it. You guys let Baker Mayfield be mid for 3 seasons, literally one decent season and the other 2 mid. Okay, and you gave him every excuse in the book. His shoulders, the fans, he doesn't know what he's doing. All this dumb crap. And it's those same people that don't like Watson, they don't like his background, whatever. The dude had one game, like you said, Jason, he hasn't played for 700 games. All I'm going to say, and that was what I've been tweeting out this week, so I know a lot of you guys are going to recognize the theme here. Relax. Relax, everybody. It was one game. These 6 games, newsflash for everybody, whether we win out or we don't, these are to see what we can build on for next year and next season. This is a good evaluation for Barry to see what else does Watson need. Maybe he needs a lineman. Maybe he needs a receiver, like Jason just mentioned. But let me put this disclaimer out. I enjoyed the game because I saw I'm going to leave a couple positives on Watson. It's there. His speed's there. I saw this guy evade on one play in the beginning, 4 defensive linemen, got out of it. When did you guys see Baker do that? You know what I mean? Now, I don't think he made a play off of it, but just to see him get out of there with 4 guys, he still has it. It's there. It's a couple tweaks. They got to AVP needs to work with the dude, get that ball a little bit higher. But let me guys leave you with this, and then I'll be done. I promise my spiel. The one thing that's crazy to think about, how crazy the game of football is, guys. Take that Schwartz fumble play away. Say he completes that and we get that ball in like the 45 or whatever it was, okay? Say Schwartz catches that. Then we give it to Chubb a couple times, Hunt, and then we get in the red zone and he throws a TD. The perception and literally the story is written completely different. So it's like, I understand Watson looked rusty. Yes, that's a fact. But obviously you said 700 days. That situation, I keep going back to that Schwartz fumble. He looked all right, guys. He had a bad throw here and there in that series, but he looked okay. He looked like his normal self, and then Schwartz just banana hands it, and the ball, poops out or whatever, and that's Schwartz for you, brick hands. But that scenario tells me, and what I saw from Watson with the speed and with the the evading, the rush, it's there. They just have to get tweak a couple things at practice. I will be interested to see what he can do against a division rival, especially a Joe Burrow who's at the top, where if you would grab Watson 2 years ago, he could easily win this match. Now let's see what kind of Watson we have in this game. Like you said, Jason, he had that warm-up. Now the Texans game's out of the way. Now let's see what we got in the next game. But that is my disclaimer. Let's not give up on the guy, guys. Even after 6 games, I got news for y'all. He's our QB for the foreseeable future. He ain't going nowhere. So get used to number 4. And I'm done.
Yeah, I think people that are, saying negative comments about Deshaun Watson, they just need to take a chill pill. Just take a chill pill. It's 700 days is a long time to not be a quarterback in the National Football League. You can't practice with your team. You don't develop chemistry. Game speed is a real thing, and if you don't have that for 2 years, then all of a sudden you're thrusted into a football game and expected to perform. I think that's just an unrealistic expectation. And I'm guilty of it. I had probably unrealistic expectations for Deshaun Watson. I didn't think he'd be that rusty. I thought maybe it would take him a quarter or 2 and then he would just be in midseason form. And that's just not the way football works. I mean, I had a lot of time to think about this since the football game. I'm reminded of, Michael Vick. This is a totally different scenario, but Michael Vick was away from football for a couple of years. We all know that he was in prison during that time. But when he came back, he got a second chance with the Philadelphia Eagles. He wasn't sharp right away. In fact, he was riding the bench, and I think it was Andy Reid that gave him his shot. And he came back, and after 3 or 4 games or whatever it was, you started to see the old Michael Vick. Now, he never returned to the Michael Vick that we all know him for in Atlanta, but he was a solid quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Deshaun Watson, I expect the same. It's just going to take a minute. And us as fans, we all have these expectations. We have to win these last 6 games. We have to win these last 6 games. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Well, maybe that's unrealistic. Maybe that's a lot to ask for a guy that hasn't played football in 700 days, to just come out and win the last 6 games. Could it happen? Absolutely, it could happen. Football is the ultimate team sport. You can win football games in many different ways, and we just saw this past Sunday that we won it in a way that I have not seen in a long time. So anything can happen. Now, this week we have a real challenge on our hands. It's the Cincinnati Bengals that can put up a lot of points. Their offense is dynamic, and I know we've had their number. Joe Burrow is 0-4 against the Browns. We've won 8 of the last 9 against the Bengals, but this is a tall order. So do I want to beat the Cincinnati Bengals? Yes. Am I expecting them to beat the Cincinnati Bengals? Probably not. But we'll have to wait and see. Football is an amazing thing. And, sometimes that's why they play the game. Sometimes teams that just aren't supposed to win end up winning. Anything can happen. So, Mikey P, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's definitely going to be a tall order going against Cincinnati this week, like you said. Final thoughts on the Houston game. It very much reminded me of I felt like I was watching the Browns in 2016 under Hugh Jackson. Even though the Texans were fighting hard and they were winning the game, I never felt like at some point I was like, this team's a bad team. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to mess up along the way. We're going to get this win. It's going to happen. And so kind of watching that was kind of interesting. Being with the shoe on the other foot, watching a team that you knew eventually was going to make mistakes and lose the game. But I don't know. I tempered my expectations around Watson because I knew I started thinking I put myself in that situation. What if I didn't do anything for 701 days? How would that be if I went back to doing it? Would I be doing it just as good as I did 701 days ago? No, there's no way. And the speed of the game, you see this all the time where you see rookie quarterbacks light it up in the preseason because you got, you don't have exotic blitzes going on. Disguises aren't happening. It's pretty much base vanilla defense. And then the speed of the game gets faster as the regular season goes. And you got to remember, these guys were in week 12, week 13? Was this week 13? Mm-hmm. He's week 1. And in all reality, he's preseason week 2. So it's going to take time for him to get up to speed. And at the end of the day, I'm not expecting us. I'll say I don't see us going to the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. If somehow we could run off 6 wins at the end, even if we miss the playoffs, sign me up for that because I would take it. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're breaking up on us a little bit there, Mikey P. But I understood what you're saying. The expectations are, we're probably not going to make the playoffs. But like you said a little while ago, Ian, we want to see what we got for 2023. And if that means that Deshaun Watson gets through the end of this year, and as the games go on, he gets better and better, but we miss the playoffs, but at the end of the year, he's clicking. I can live with that as a Browns fan. I mean, man, if there's one thing that I've learned being a fan of the Cleveland Browns, it's patience. It's patience. So we have a lot of patience, and loyalty. So I can wait for one more year, but that does not mean that my hopes are not there. I want to win the last 6 games of the year, just like everybody else. There's 5 left now, right?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, I want to win the last 5 games just like everybody else. And believe me, Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm going to be really hoping and expecting us to win that football game, even though I know that the odds say that we're probably not. But we'll get into that game here in just a second. Mikey P, tell us about Underdog Fantasy.
Well, as you know, we are a proud sponsor with Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy football. If you're like most people and you love to play daily fantasy and you also love to win cold hard cash, Underdog Fantasy is definitely for you. Underdog is going to match your initial deposit up to $100 by using promo code 216. So if you deposit $50, that of course becomes $100 to play an Underdog Fantasy. Just remember, yet you do have to use promo code 216. Get out there and make some Christmas cash today. You only got 19 days left, so make it happen.
I've had a positive experience with Underdog Fantasy. I'll admit I forget to play some weeks, but sometimes I'm sitting there and I get my lineups all set, for my other leagues, and I realize, man, I've got a fantasy Underdog Fantasy account and I have some money in there, so I'll get in there and draft a couple. It just takes a couple minutes, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. So yeah, if you don't have a Underdog Fantasy account, go ahead and create one and use that promo code 216 for sure. Well, we're going to talk about the Bengals Browns. Brian, he's saying Bengals are going to get lit up again. We're going 6-0 to finish this year, boys. I like it, Brian. I like it. Ian, you might have to go hang out with Brian in the flats after the game. I'm just saying.
He's already hit me up for the Ravens game, so we made a tentative itinerary already for that evening, fellas. Saturday night, man. I mean, you're gonna get out of there about Saturday night. So
yeah,
Brian,
game. Go ahead.
Brian, I'm going to put it out there now. If Brian's listening, if we win out and go 6-0, I will sing "We Built This City" on this show.
Wow!
Hear that?
Wow!
Tweet that out.
I will dedicate it to Brian.
There you go.
We will not forget what you just said, Mikey P. We will not forget that one.
Yeah, no, we will definitely not forget that one. I know Brian won't either. So, all right, sounds good. That's great. We're making deals.
And someone commented on Facebook, I'm not expecting playoffs, just want to see development. That's a realistic thing to say, about what's going on right now with the Cleveland Browns. I like that. Whoever said that. It doesn't show your name in the comments. We're getting a lot of comments rolling in, a lot from YouTube, but we are getting some Facebook comments as well. Let's get into the AFC North standings. The Ravens are at the top, 8-4, tied with the Bengals at 8-4. The Browns and Steelers are also tied at 5-7. Them Steelers, they keep hanging around. We don't mention them a lot on this podcast because they're in the basement, but I tell you, every time I look at the standings, they're tied with us. So they're sticking around, man.
Yeah, every damn week we win, they win. And I'm just, dude, trust me, as a Browns diehard, I just cannot stand it. It's like, can we just get 2 games ahead of these dudes 1 year? Just 1 year, dude. Can they just stay dead, like stay down in the basement and stay there and just keep losing? But hats off, I guess, their coach, Mike Tomlin, man. I don't understand it, but they are, dare I say, they are playing decent ball to be tied with our record. But hopefully they start losing again, man. I don't know. I want to see it.
Here's the thing. We do the predictions at the end of the show. We have 2 games to predict because the AFC North, we're all going against each other. There's only 2 games, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals. So somebody has to lose unless it's a tie. We'll get into the predictions in just a couple minutes. We do have to preview the Browns versus Bengals. The 5-7 Browns take on the 8-4 Bengals in Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored in this one by 6. The over-under is set at 47.5. The Bengals are 4-1 at home this year and are on a 4-game winning streak. They have a 4-game winning streak, guys. The Browns are 2-4 in away games. And get this. I think I said this earlier, but the Browns have won 8 of the last 9 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And a lot of people do know this now, and Joe Burrow especially knows this. We are 4-0 against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. That's something that I don't understand because the Bengals have been on the rise, and they even went to the Super Bowl last year, and they're good this year. They have a really good football team, but for whatever they have not figured out the Cleveland Browns. It doesn't matter what coach they play. We've had multiple coaches, we've had multiple quarterbacks. It just doesn't matter. They find a way to lose to the Cleveland Browns. Let's get into this game. Mikey P, I want to ask you keys to victory. You can go a couple different ways here. You can go offense, where the Browns just match the Bengals point for point, or is it a defensive strategy? Like, what are your keys to victory for the Cleveland Browns?
Keys to victory are going to be the same keys that won them the Halloween game, is getting Joe Burrow off his spots. He was not comfortable that whole night. For 4 quarters, he took a beating back there, and if you let him throw from a clean pocket, that dude's going to pick you apart. It's just going to happen. Like, when he has time to throw, he's elite. So it's going to be getting pressure, making him feel uncomfortable, not letting him get the ball. I mean, a lot of the plays last week against Kansas City, like, he was just dumping the ball off to Jamar Chase, and it was Jamar Chase just making guys miss and getting extra yardage out of it. So going to be, make sure we tackle well, like, attack the ball, tackle. We're going to need a couple turnovers, probably force some turnovers. When you're on the road, you remember last year's game at Cincinnati? Cincinnati was moving the ball pretty well down the field. Next thing you know, Denzel Ward runs it back for an interception. Yeah. The game kind of unfolded that way, and we ended up running away with that. It's going to have to be defense. Like, as much as we've yelled and preached that the defense has struggled at times this year, like, they're going to have to rise up one of these times against an elite quarterback, and this is the week we need him to rise up again.
Yeah, we didn't. The last time we faced the Bengals on Halloween, they didn't have Jamar Chase for that game. I don't know that it would have mattered. I mean, we really did manhandle the Cincinnati Bengals. They do have him this week. Jamar Chase came back last week from a hip injury. He had 7 receptions for 97 yards. He didn't see the end zone, but when you look at the Bengals receivers, Cold Train, with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who would probably be a wide receiver 1 on a lot of NFL teams. Like, that guy is legit. And so they have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, P. Ryan as a running back. I mean, they have a lot of offensive weapons. How do you stop? I mean, how do you stop that? I mean, how do you just stop them from just wrecking our day and, Burrow putting up 300 points? Mikey, you went into it a little bit, but I want to talk more about the receivers right now with you, Coltrane.
I mean, the corners have to play man on those stars, on those receivers, man. The problem is, too, you didn't mention Boyd, Tyler Boyd. That's the problem with Cincy, man. I was watching that Chiefs game pretty thoroughly. They're tall, man. All of them are like big, tall receivers. They're almost like Higgins on crack, like our Rashad Higgins, like that size, but just bigger, and just they can just get over people. But you have to go back to that YouTube video, or not YouTube, but Instagram video, Jamar Chase, about, on point. What did he say? On point, was it? That whatever he was saying, it's on site, it's on site. This rivalry between Ward and Newsome kind of going on. Newsome and Ward and Emerson, they all have to come out and play, man. If we don't, just like as important as Miles and Clowney are to this piece, we got to have our corners put up or shut up. I mean, they kind of went back and forth with Chase on those Instagram videos, going back and forth, talking crap. Back it up, man. Get his ass this time. You guys got it easy the last time he didn't play. Now get on his ass. I would love to see Jamar, in a perfect world, have a 40-yard game, maybe 3 receptions for like 40 yards, just a nothing game. Like, just got stopped. I mean, I would love to see our corners play some man on these dudes, on those 3 receivers. Give them some pressure up front and have these corners lock down these receivers, man. That's what we need.
Yeah, I'd man up all day.
Yes. Yeah, man up all day. You got him, I got him, like, backyard football. Last time we played them on Halloween, the Bengals were in a lot of 3rd and short situations. And the one thing that I was noticing is they weren't converting those 3rd downs. Like, the Browns defense, it's not normal like this, but they were getting off the field on 3rd and shorts. Burrow wasn't he wasn't very accurate on third down. Pirine, he's been a surprise. I mean, last week, what did he run for? 106 yards. He can also catch too. He had 6 receptions for 49 yards. Like, Pirine is a legit running back. Do you think that the linebackers are going to come into play? I mean, big time, especially for stopping the run because you don't want the Cincinnati Bengals to get these big chunk plays. Like, you don't want to see Jamar Chase catch these 40-yard bombs because they can do that. But you also don't want them to get these, these 5-yard passes, 7-yard passes, because they'll chunk their way down the field. I guess what I'm saying is, like Sione Takitaki's hurt. Tony Fields, I guess, would take that spot. We have to see some big play from our linebackers and our box safety. I mean, we just do because Pirine and Tyler Boyd. I mean, you'd mentioned him, Coltrane. He'll hurt you too. This is just a dynamic offense. We haven't seen this since the Bills. That was Miami. Did we play Miami after the Bills, or was the Bills the last one? This is a dynamic offense that if we're not careful, they can put up 30 points really quick. And we just saw last week, our offense has a hard time putting points on the board. We're going to have to keep – I agree with both of you. I think both of you are saying that the defense has to step up and keep this just within reach, right? Within reach, and just hope that Deshaun Watson is just a little bit better than he was this past Sunday. A little more confidence, maybe – you know what I'm saying? Moving the chains a little more, because that's another way that you stop Joe Burrow, is to just keep him off the field, right? So Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt's going to have a big day. But, as far as putting this game on the shoulders of Deshaun Watson, I just don't know that that's realistic. I think it's going to have to come from the defense. And hopefully we can play a game like we did against the Bengals, on Halloween night, because that defensive effort that night was amazing. It really was.
Some teams get up for certain teams and they just have their number, so we gotta hope that plays a factor. But it's gonna be a battle on Sunday, that's for sure.
And it's in Cincinnati. How far are you from Cincinnati, Coltrane?
I would say it's about the same drive to Cincy that it is for me to Cleveland. So about 2 hours, about an hour and 50, maybe an hour and 50 to Cincy, 2 hours to Cleveland. Well, yeah, about an hour 50 from here. So I definitely, I think about going every year, but
what do you think, Mikey? We hop in the truck and meet Coltrane in Cincy?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's definitely a long drive for us.
Yeah.
We gotta find a buddy with a private charter plane or something like that.
Yeah.
we can pick up Brian on your way, and we'll find a 80s bar, and
there we go.
I'm in Cincinnati. All right, yard dogs of the week. Mikey P, who's your yard dog of the week?
Are we referring to last week, or we talk about this week?
This week, who do we need to step up to beat the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, so who I need to step up is, they have struggled the last 2 weeks. The offensive line needs to get their head out of their ass and blow some guys off the ball. We need to get back to running the ball and being able to run the ball when we want to, and give.
Yeah, he's frozen. And I think he's saying the offensive line. I've seen this on Twitter. Jedrick Wills, is he taking plays off? I see what on Twitter. I see these videos. He's blocking, and then all of a sudden he stops blocking, and he's just standing there while the play is going on around him. What's going on with Jedrick Wills?
Yeah, I don't think his motivation's there. He's never been there. Even back to the whole, marijuana in the car with Rashad, Higgins, when they got busted with the pot, just like, he's done some things on this team. I just haven't really. He's an interesting guy, man. But I have seen the videos. I know that Roberto Shenanigans guy hates that dude. Like, every week there's about 3-4 videos posted from that guy. I think linemen take plays off. Like, a lot of them do, and that's just the way they are. I mean, I don't think they necessarily go hard every play, but his play is definitely questionable to the point where does Barry in the offseason, find a replacement? Does he, maybe draft a left tackle? Does he look for a free agent left tackle? I mean, it is pretty questionable, because most of the time when the big play happened or a big play got broken up, like Chubb got, totally demolished, Wills was there. Or if our quarterback took a sack, usually Wills is right there. So something for Barry I'll just leave it with this. Something for Barry to look at in the offseason for sure. I'll let the professionals look at the tape, and I'm not going to listen to Roberto shenanigans. I'll let the professionals watch the tape. And if Barry thinks the guys need to be replaced, then so be it, man. I guess we're looking at a new left tackle next year.
I've heard there's in offensive players' minds, there's a play clock going on. So when they snap the ball, they count 1, 2, 3. They get to a certain number and they're like, okay, he's probably thrown the ball by now, and they stop. Well, you really can't do that with a player like Deshaun Watson, because he could be back there running for a while. You have to play past what he's normally. I think that's what's going on. He's thinking that the play's over when it's really not over, and he can't see because his back's turned to it. So hopefully that's something he can fix. I know Bill Callahan is all over that. He's watching the film, he's watching the tape. Jedrick Wills, when I see him block, he's out there. I think he's doing a good job, but when you do see those videos on Twitter with him just kind of not giving up, but just stopping and the play is still going, that is discouraging to see, but I think it's probably an easy fix.
It's effort. And I mean, every offensive line coach I ever played for, you play to the whistle.
Yeah.
And, I just think he's typical most young guys these days. They love to win. They don't hate to lose. And there's just some effort issues sometimes. And that's something he's got to fix. You can coach the hell out of him, but until it clicks with him, you're still going to see what he does there. He's inconsistent. That's his issue. Some weeks he's elite as a pass protector. His run blocking is a little weak at times, but he's also, keep in mind, I didn't agree with the pick when they made it. I'm you're taking a guy who played right tackle in college and you're moving in the left table. Maybe he is a natural right tackle. He's not a left tackle. He's played right tackle his whole career. But then we decide, hey, analytics says, hey, he played right tackle with a left-handed quarterback. So it's he's protecting the blind side of that quarterback. Totally different.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see. I'm pretty sure Andrew Berry is already looking into that, and Wills Wills will either get moved to right tackle, or they probably won't extend him beyond his first contract.
All right. So Mikey P's yard dog of the week is the offensive line. Coltrane, who's your yard dog of the week?
I'm going to go with number 4, Deshaun. He has to come out better, man. He has to come out a lot more poised. I think he'll get protection. I think another week of practice will help him. But I know you said that you don't want the game to be on his shoulders, Jason, but I feel like that last game was a garbage, just a dumpster fire. We just whooped their ass. This game's going to be a lot closer, and there might be that drive to where I was Rip Baker for it, where that ball's in Deshaun's hand. We got 3:50, 3:45 on the clock, and we're down 3, or we're down 4 points. He's got to score a touchdown to win. And we shall see at that point if Deshaun is, has that razzle dazzle that we've been looking for and waiting to see. So
I tell you what, if the game does come to that where there's 3 minutes left and we're down by 4 and the ball's in Deshaun Watson's hands, I mean, isn't that all you ask for as a fan, to be in that situation? You certainly don't want to be like Tom Brady was on Monday night, down 13 points with I went to bed. I missed that whole comeback. I didn't think he was going to do it. But anyways, I get what you're saying. Deshaun Watson is your yard dog of the week, and that's a good dog that we need to step up. My yard dog of the week is the cornerback room. If I can just group those together, I just think that's going to be important this week. We mentioned Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. We have to contain those. We have to give Deshaun Watson a chance to be able to win this ball game, because Deshaun Watson probably is not going to throw for 5 touchdowns. But the Cincinnati Bengals can throw for 5 touchdowns, so we need to make sure that doesn't happen. So that way we can keep this game close and have a chance. So my yard dog will be the cornerback room. Denzel Ward, Mikey P, you mentioned last year he had that, what was it, a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing.
Take that again.
Yeah, Emerson's been coming up. We need another solid performance from him, and I think we will. I think he's really coming in his own, and he's becoming a solid cornerback. So that's my yard dog of the week, cornerback room. Coltrane, give us our Network 216 YouTube plug.
All righty. If you want to support the show, you can subscribe to the Network 216 YouTube channel for free. We're working hard to bring Cleveland sports content. We have more shows joining the network. We are your one-stop shop for all your Ohio sports content. So just make it easy for yourself. When you go on that Network 216, hit that subscribe button, and then you'll be in the yard. You'll be on a lot of different shows. The Gray and Scarlet podcast. I mean, there's a lot of action on this network. So just go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Yes, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into prediction times, and we only got a couple more minutes. We have a year-long bet. It's close right now, guys. We predict all of the AFC North games, including the Browns games. You get a point for each correct prediction, and you get 3 points for the exact score prediction. So like Moira on Twitter that won the hoodie this week, she guessed the exact score. She's the first one to do it this year. She won the free Browns hoodie from Homage that was sent out to her. So her grandson's going to get that for Christmas, I'm guessing. But so the year-to-date standings, Mikey P is at 21 points, Coltrane's at 22, and I'm at 23. So it's like neck and neck. Mikey P, you've made a comeback, buddy. You were 3-1 last week. 3-1. That's not too shabby. Coltrane and myself were 2-2. So let's get into the predictions. We have 2 games. The Ravens are at Steelers. Now the Steelers are favored in this game by 3 points. It's in Pittsburgh. Lamar Jackson is hurt, so they
Who's favored? The Steelers are favored?
That's what I read. Steelers are favored by 3, so that was surprising to me. So, Coltrane, what is your prediction for this game, sir?
Oh man, I just can't pick this. I just can't pick. I can never pick the Steelers, so I'll go Ravens 24, Steelers 17.
24-17 Ravens. All right, Mikey P.
I'm going to go Ravens 20, Steelers 17.
Wow, you guys are close, and you both picked the Ravens. I am actually picking the Steelers in this. I think not having Lamar Jackson hurts, even though they're back at quarterback is good. He's very complimentary to Lamar Jackson, kind of a poor man's version of Lamar Jackson. I just think the Steelers, they've been improving. As much as it pains me to say, they're 5-7, just like we are. It's in Pittsburgh. They're going to have the crowd behind them. So I like the Steelers in this one, 24-22. So it's going to be a close game, but I think the Steelers will pull that out. All right, let's get into the game of the week. Browns at Bengals, the Battle of Ohio. The Bengals are favored in this one by 24 points. No, I'm just kidding. They're favored by 6 points. So just a little bit less than a touchdown. I'm going to start here, and this might cause me to lose the entire year, and this is not a homer thing. I really believe the Browns are going to win this football game. They do have Joe Burrow's numbers. They won 8 of the last 9, the last 4 against Joe Burrow. I don't know how they're going to win. I don't know how. We all saw Deshaun Watson. We saw the offense. They definitely weren't clicking last week. We saw that game, against the Kansas City Chiefs. While the Bengals were playing the Chiefs, I was like, man, we have to play this team in 7 days. How are we going to beat this? But that's exactly what I have going on. The Browns are going to win this game 27-23. Browns are going to take it 3 in a row, baby. So that's my prediction for that game. Coltrane, you're next.
I'm actually going to follow your lead, and if Mike gets a spot on us, it is what it is. I'm in the same boat. I think going back to what Mikey said in the original of the show, some teams just have other teams' numbers, and for the foreseeable future, we have the Bengals. I don't know if it's the AVP connection, the coaches. It just seems like that one game that they do really well at game planning for, and even with Watson, I think Watson plays better. So yeah, I got the Browns 28, Bengals 26. Close one.
28-26. I love it, Coltrane. Attaboy. All right, Mikey P, you're last.
I'm going to pick a surprise here. There is a team from Ohio that's going to win this, and a team from Ohio that's going to lose this. I'm going to go. The Deshaun Magic returns a little bit this week, and the Browns win 33-27.
Hey, I agree, man.
I love it, man. 33-27.
Hey,
Brownies.
If Mikey's in, we got a good chance.
We have a really good chance. I have to be honest with you guys. I thought I was the only one that was going to pick the Browns.
I think it's the seasons on the line too. Like I think, at least for me, like if I lose a point, I figured if I lose a point this week, whatever, I got to go with my gut, man.
Their backs are against the wall.
Yeah, 100%. You have to win.
All right, guys, we are up against it. The Barking Brown show is on next with Nick Carnes and Jacob Roach. So we got to end this show, guys. This was a lot of fun. Ian Coltrane, Mikey P, I love you. We'll see you guys next week. I like to end all of our shows with the Go Browns. Thanks for everybody for listening. We'll see you next week on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Browns.
Go Browns. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys. Everybody. YouTube, Facebook. Appreciate it.
See you next